Okay. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Wherever you joined us from, thanks for joining us for the Above and Beyond Meet the Facilitators webinar. Uh, as you know, we have been putting out a lot of posts on what Above and Beyond is, and this we thought was one of our way to tell you about our journey. Above and Beyond is a women leadership program that has been designed for women with 10 plus years of experience. We've gone through our own inciting to develop this program, but more about that later. First, I want to introduce my co host, Soumya, a good friend and also a facilitator for Above and Beyond. Welcome, Soumya, for this webinar.
Hi, Val, and hi, everyone. Absolute pleasure to be here today.
Great. So Soumya, so this is going to be very different, right? You and I just chatting about what this program is about. So,
Sure.
like a lot of time, I get asked, why another woman leadership program? In fact, I also might ask myself, why should we create another program? Tell me something. What do you think about it?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think with just having worked for the last 8, 9 years on creating programs that focus on advancing, women leadership journeys, I think most leadership programs tell you how you need to show up. Yeah, and Above and Beyond is very different in the sense that we tell you why you have to show up the way you do, and how do you shift, how to make those internal shifts, and how do you ensure that you are able to move yourself to a place where you're able to redesign your journey based on the stage of life that you're in and stage of career that you're in. So this program is not just from a place of building awareness, not just from a place of learning, but it looks at what is that one shift that you think is going to take your leadership journey to the next level. And we bring everything right from actionable strategies, frameworks, tools, a stellar lineup of mentors and coaches would be able to handhold you through this journey. And so we just don't stop at the aha moment. We make that aha moment a reality. So yeah. So on that note, well, I mean, you've been in this space for 25 years, and as a woman leader, I would love to understand, what has been an inspiration actually for you to do this program, and what have been your challenges too, because that's something we never hear.
Yeah, no, a lot of challenges and a lot of inspiration. So yes, 26 years of experience. Yeah, I don't even talk about it, but yes, it's it's been a journey where I've had opportunities to work with great sponsors and mentors who have nudged me, who have pushed me to deliver my best. I've had two children on the way. So there were times which is we talk about women going on break. So there've been incidents of that, and then coming back and after being the global head of learning for CIPLA, I started Mentor Park. Uh, the reason I started Mentor Park was I realized learning stops in classrooms. But what we need is people to apply that learning in work. And that's where the entire mentoring and coaching opportunity comes in. And that's the area that Mentor Park is working on. We don't just create and curate programs and design journeys as events for 2 days and 3 days. We actually want you to go and make impact in your organization, in your life. In fact, all our participants from the past, we stay in touch with them. We 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 continue to nudge them, and I'm proud to say that some of our mentees have shown increase in their ratings. Some of the organizations don't know, but we've stopped their attrition. We've helped them manage their attrition. So it's a platform which allows you to go beyond the learning and development resources that your organizations provide. It allows you to connect to an open world, uh, to star mentors and industry leaders who can share their experiences with you and handhold you through that journey. So that's what I'm out here for. But Soumya, you have been a coach, right? And since we're talking about above and beyond, and we've had many conversations, So how do you really use coaching as a technique to ensure a woman leader achieves her potential?
Okay. Before I talk about my own coaching journey, I think I want to, share a little bit of a context to why even coaching. From a thriving career, driving business and strategy for, organizations. Um, so, in the capacity of a community head for one of the organizations I used to work with, I had the opportunity to mentor women across the country, right? And I was meeting this one. Woman leader who came with about 18 years of experience. Okay.
Wow.
She had taken a small career break for about 2.5 years. And, and she had, you name it in terms of credibility, right? She came from the best of B school. She came from with great, names that
Yeah.
organizations that she's worked with. And when we sat for our session, she said, I'm struggling. I've been trying for the last 6 months. I'm not even getting a meeting. Okay. And I said, so what do you think is happening? Uh, she said, I never thought after 18 years I would get here. She said, it's not about what I know or don't know, but I simply don't believe in myself. Yeah.
Wow.
And I've realized with increasing number of conversations, it doesn't matter whether you've taken a break for 2.5 years or for 2 months, right? The confidence deficit seems to be the biggest challenge for women leaders, irrespective of whether you've taken a break or not, right? And there is enough research and there is enough data out there which talks about how men are able to be a lot more confident in selling their net worth compared to a woman. But this was live in action, right? This was real conversations with real people where we saw women with all the credibility, all the work that could speak for itself. And it still didn't make a difference because that woman could not talk for herself, could not, talk about herself in a manner that would create a good impression with stakeholders. And um, and so we realized that with all that research and conversations that we had, we realized that two things make a lot of difference for a woman beyond a certain level in her career, right? Beyond about 10, 12 years, for any employee in an organization, it's not so much about the skill sets as we call it. It's more about how are they able to build influence, how are they able to build that impact. So and someone who believed in just skill sets being enough. As an individual, I said, let my work talk for myself. Why do I
Yeah.
need to talk about it, right? And I'm
Yeah.
sure, well, I think that's something that you relate to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In fact, yesterday in our webinar with Saloni, that's exactly what you said. You need to learn to celebrate yourself. And how do you do that is something that she's going to talk about. And you know that we're going to talk about this in the program of 2 days. So
Absolutely. And I think when I had to start doing that for myself, okay,
yes.
and thankfully it happened out of design, not out of choice, right? I mean, in the
Wow.
role that I was in, I was expected to do that. And in the journey, I realized that it works outside in also, in just being able to create that identity for yourself, in being able to build that presence for yourself, something within you also shifts. Yeah. And
Yes.
so my coaching journey started there to help women sort of identify what are some of those intrinsic motivators, right?
Yeah.
And how do you connect with the work that you do, with how you present yourself to the world. And so yeah, and I think I would love to actually put that question to you, because a big part of the program also looks at how do you create a personal brand.
Yes.
Is
Yes.
that that you want to share about that?
Yeah, and we're very excited for that because you know what? We're not getting anybody else, but we're getting Miss Darshana Shah for that session, and she is the CMO of Aditya Birla Capital. So she's created brands in her life, and she's not going now going to take a session on how do you create a personal brand. The best part that I liked about Darshana was the Darshana Shah show, where she's actually talking about authentic stories and real life stories. Soumya, I've realized we talk about in literature, and you and I being from that part of segment, we
Mhm.
talk about tall poppy syndromes, we talk about imposter syndromes, we talk about glass ceilings. uh, the the women leaders who are coming to our session are not talking about these things. They're talking about real problems that they want to solve.
Yeah.
They're not talking about uh, how complicated things are. They're talking about how do I solve my self awareness. And this is after like 20 years of experience. Uh, uh, we There are so much out there. The literature out there is all there, uh, but you need facilitators. You need experts to really help you understand what is the problem that you need to solve. And that's where the entire mentoring and coaching comes into perspective, where what you have experiencing might not be any of these jazzy words, but something that you are experiencing. So that's another very important part of mentor park programs. We like to bring in our coaches and experts, and we're very proud for this 9th and 10th May in 2020 on 2025. We have Ms. Darshana Shah coming in on 9th May, and 10th and on 10th we have Mr. Dheeraj Sinha and Mr. PR Ramesh coming in. And more about them if you keep connected with us. But yes, I will throw this question back to you, Soumya. What do you think has been your most challenging coaching experience? So, so, so tell us about that.
um, to reinstill faith. Yeah. So I'm going to, without naming my client, okay. um, I had this head of Corpcom from from an organization who with about 18 years of experience. Yeah. And the coaching conversation was supposed to be to look at how do we help her build that personal brand. Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah. And after the first conversation where we sort of understood what she's done, where her where she sees purpose and all of that, uh, there came a conversation where she touched upon how she's never able to do something for herself. Right? She said, I've been wanting to do a laser treatment, and she said, I've been postponing it for the last 1.5 years. I'm really questioning, do I need to really do this? Yeah. And which is why I think in the coaching framework that I use, it's a well-being coaching framework where we look at things from 6 different dimensions, which is what we're going to be doing even in the above and beyond program, where we look at what aspect of your life and how are you looking at these different aspects, right? Your emotional aspect, your social aspect, in terms of how you relate with the world, how you relate with your colleagues, how you relate with your family. We look at it from intellectual, from a knowledge perspective. So we look at it from multiple domains, right? And surprisingly, typically we look at interventions from, I need to work on my confidence. What are the confidence building frameworks that I need to look at, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, but my in with this, especially with this coaching client, it opened up my dimension of how I look at these dimensions itself, because she said, I want to work on my physical aspect. I think that will help me build a better personal brand. Okay. While I would have said, let's talk about what you've accomplished in your career, let's talk about the milestones you've achieved, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
She said, no, I want to talk about why am I not able to take care of my physical appearance, right? And so it was a mind blowing transformation that happened over a period of about 5 months, right? From
Wow.
that one dimension of physical domain, we looked at what are some of those self limiting beliefs, what are some of those value changes that she's gone through. And I think for a woman, navigating her personal and leadership journey is just profound, because every 10 years we're a different person altogether. Yeah.
Yeah.
uh,
Ask me about it. Yes. Yes, I agree with that.
yeah, so our values, our purpose, our resonance with ideas change every 10 years, right?
Yes.
And so who we identified as ourselves at 20 is very different from who I identify myself today.
Yeah.
And so I think that one client sort of gave me this understanding of how it's always important for you to start from where you think is the most easiest for you to make shifts, make those internal changes.
Yeah. So as
Yeah,
we call it, this is low hanging fruits is what we should pick up first. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
So
And
yeah, tell me.
yeah, so I think one of the other things that I wanted to hear from you was about what are the insights that you have gotten about unique challenges that women are going through. I mean, these are conversations that you might have had, or yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, as part of the above and beyond, and for that matter, every program that we do a listening exercise, you know. So the survey of above and beyond was actually answered by 50 plus women leaders across South Asia. I mean, we were impressed, you know, getting such a high number with such a diverse audience. Nobody was talking about work-life balance. Nobody was talking about team challenges. Um, they were talking about how do I get a 500 crore revenue? How do I go pan India? You know, they were talking about how do I influence my boss to give me the CEO position. What I admired about these answers, Soumya, was that today we are okay to carry our work and life and still be ambitious,
Yeah.
and that's what the above and beyond program is for women who are actually ambitious. They still have fire in their belly, and even after 10-15 years of experience, they want to go beyond what they've achieved, because every day is a new day to achieve new things. And learning is, as you say, is part of our life to really go beyond what we have done today. So the inciting was very has been a has impacted how this program has got curated and designed.
Wonderful. Okay, okay.
And you know, so while you've spoken about a lot what you are going to be doing in this 2 days workshop, right? Uh, I want to now come out with some, you know, let's talk about some of the challenges that people really face, you know,
Hmm.
and what do you think if you don't get a promotion and you're overlooked for a promotion? What do you think a woman leader should do?
If you don't get a promotion,
Yeah, you thought you were kind of due for a promotion and you don't get it. What do you think? How do you think you could manage that?
very interesting. Thanks for asking this question. Again, I'm going to go with it. It's funny how most of your questions relate to actually incidences which were like, aha, for me at some point of time in my career. We were facilitating a women leadership mentorship program, okay, in an organization, and this was specifically for high potential women as organizations had identified. Okay, so so those women came with a lot of conviction in what they do anyway. Yeah. And I was having a conversation during tea time with one of them, and they said, somewhere, you know what, I think this program is for women who want to become high potential women, right? And I see that as a huge gap in the industry itself, that we identify high potential leaders and then we'll say, let's kill them to become the best, right? While to answer your question, when I don't get the promotion because I probably have a personal challenge that I'm dealing with, or when I'm being judged based on that one event or incident, yeah, um, does that mean that that's where my potential to thrive or to succeed or to reach the top stops? Maybe not, right? And which is why I think above and beyond sort of helps in helping women across those years of experience to dream bigger, right? And to also actually come up with an actionable pathway on how are they going to get to the dream, right? And I
Yes.
remember when we were having a conversation, when the three of us, you, me, and Saloni, were having a conversation. I think I remember one of us talking about how, it's very, very important that we get these women to be able to dream big, right? And what's very, very interesting about this program is it comes with science backed tools, right? Where we say we don't just leave you with dreaming big, which is what usually most programs look at, but we say that here's a framework that you can use. And it's not just about our, the three of our combined experience, but I
No.
think every woman who's going to be there in the program come with their own perspective, come with their own wisdom of lived
Yes,
experiences as a leader. And I think that is a game changer, right? And where else will you get all of these people helping you design your growth path? Yeah, i
absolutely.
think I think that's something that is very exciting for me, even as a
As a
facilitator to
facilitator.
observe. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and because it adds back to you, right, Soumya? It adds back to you and your experiences as a facilitator. That if you are able to actually take some aspects of of these participants also.
Yeah.
Another question that I had, Soumya, for you was before you shoot your volley to me is
Okay.
I I've at many times in my life, and also a lot of participants who I'm talking to nowadays is like they're saying they don't know how to stand up for themselves.
Mm,
Um, I got overlooked, or I had this idea, but I was still trying to understand how to present when somebody else went ahead and presented. So
mm.
how do as women stand up for ourselves?
Okay. um, I think usually we don't stand up for ourselves when we are not clear about what we really want for ourselves.
Yes,
Yeah. And so it's funny when I hear sometimes that midlife crisis probably right now happens even at 20, right? And I think we go through midlife crisis again at every stage of our lives. But we I do believe, because there is a when you don't know what are your values that you stand for, or what are your what is your larger purpose, I think you're you've gotten into a repetitive habit pattern of doing what you've been comfortable doing. Yeah.
yes,
and
yeah,
uh, and uh, and, and so when there is a constant struggle of I'm here but this is what I want to do, right? And uh, so where will you get that conviction to stand up for something if you don't know what you really want?
wow,
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
And which is why I think the first large part of the first day, what we're going to be doing focuses on what is it that you as a woman leader, what are your what does growth even look like for you? And we very unabashedly use this word impact, but
yes,
do we even internalize that word to understand what does really impact mean for you, right?
yeah,
Because for someone that impact could mean 100 crore revenue by this time. Okay. For somebody else that impact could mean I want to be able to do at least two TED talks and one international by end of this time, right?
yeah,
Both are very, very legitimate impact metrics.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And so the first day, I think, which is what's interesting, because the first day looks at how do we understand ourselves, how do we build that belief system for ourselves in what we're doing, and then the
yes.
second day looks at how do you then project that to the world, how do you relate that to the world, and how do you make that happen. So and I think even in to stand up for yourself, I think, yeah, first it starts with our own, I think, self-awareness. And I would also want to I think hear about how I think there's a conversation we've always had about how this is not just a 2 day is this just a 2 day workshop, or what else is planned? How are you thinking of this program? Well,
Soumya, for us, it is like this 2 day is start of a journey. It's a journey of transformation that you start with, right? And I almost look at it like you are going to be you're going to enter like a woman and go out like a Wonder Woman. So you're going to be coming with all kind of questions that you have. When you walk out of the room, you'll have an armor which is going to protect you, which is going to let you know what is your strength, and you're going to have all the tools with you to really go out and make that impact happen, or make the change happen, or achieve what you want to do. But it's not going to be easy. You might say, oh, I've got aha moments, I've got all these tools, now I'm ready. But you know what? When you step out in the real world pack, you will definitely get more and more challenges. So which tool are you using? Are you using the right tool? Are you
Hmm.
using the right skill set? uh, is something that you can, if you want, use the optional mentoring and coaching opportunity to say,
Hmm.
okay, this is a mentor, this is a coach that I want to be coached with, and we really don't want you to use this for a long time. No, 3 to 4 months, please be out of that, because then you would have different sets of challenges, you'll have different sets of learnings to be done. So that's when we'll come back with something else. But use this opportunity to, so as I said, we're looking at it as a long term intervention and not just 2 day workshop.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. Um, yeah,
So yeah,
and
I
yeah.
just wanted to ask you one more thing, and because we are also coming to the end of the entire session, and I wanted to know, if you were, and I'm going to go back to you, if you were look at yourself, the younger self, 20 years ago, or what would you say to that person?
Wow, that's a loaded question there, Val. I think this is also part of what um, parts of what we will touch in the program, but I think parts of our my own learning, right? I think from all the career transitions I've had, um, I think to aim for consistency over perfection.
Wow. Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's one thing, and I think as in my mid career, like when I was, in my early 30s, and when I was managing a child and managing a role which had a lot of potential, I think the second learning for me was where you put your energy is what's going to grow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you, I mean, if you really want something very badly, are you really, which is why I don't believe in time management as a concept at all. Yeah, I believe in energy management, because where you're putting your focus, attention, energy is what is going to fuel into something larger. So I think
Absolutely.
so even today when I get overwhelmed with work, I think that's where I go back to. I look at really where am I spending my energy. But
Wow.
I think these two things are uh,
Something
uh,
that you will
I
tell
wish I had
younger
started
self.
earlier. I wish I had
Yeah.
started. I think it would have saved me a lot of trauma and saved me a lot of sweat. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome. Awesome.
yeah. What about
So,
you? Why not?
okay. So I'll tell you, my younger self was a very tomboyish. Okay. She was absolutely tomboyish. She was always in the fields, playing volleyball, basketball. I was a good student also, but that's what I was. I was just fearless. Okay. I think somewhere down the line, that performance fear kind of creeped in. So I would tell my younger self, stay what you were and what you are. And I think
Mm,
I have now reinvented myself within Mentor Park. I'm out there uh, doing everything that needs to be done. And I've just put myself out there, and I don't hesitate. Uh, Whether it's a day which is up or down, but yes, so that's the transformation we're also going to talk about when we do the day two. So the day two talks really about when Mr. PR Ramesh and Mr. Dheeraj Sinha come in. They're going to actually have a fireside chat on how do you even get spotted as a leader.
yeah,
And second half of the day, we're going to talk about how do you action plan, how do you really prototype your future. you know
yeah,
so what have you learned, how do you convert it into step action plan. So that's what
yeah.
the date is going to be. and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how
And
yes.
I think especially the prototyping is going to be a very very powerful journey, because you're not just doing this in an isolated silo, which is what most of us end up doing whenever we want to make that change. We're thinking whether we have to do it. We have the fear of should we make this change, and then we're thinking sitting on it for too long. I think the fact that in that room right there they're going to sort of do a small pivot to action
Yes.
whatever the change they're envisaging, and to be able to get inputs from mentors, get inputs from facilitators, get input from the cohort, and to be able to test that idea right there. in their leadership journey, I think is going to be a very, very powerful way to, start their own journey to reaching their full potential. So, yeah.
Absolutely. No, this was great, Soumya. I think had a wonderful chat. Got to know a lot about what you're planning to do and how your journey has been. I think we never spoke about that uh, when we met earlier, but this was a great conversation. So if any of you are interested in enrolling for this program, there is a link in the comments. Please go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we will keep putting such nudges out there for you to experience what you can miss or you can be part of. So, thank you so much, Soumya. See you. Bye
Thank you
bye.
so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Val. Yeah.
Take care.